Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you guys today about some of the experiences we've had on our journey to becoming a data-centric organization. Got a small presentation and hopefully we'll have time for some Q&A at the end. But we'll start off with some intros. So I'm sure unless you work in the insurance industry, no one's ever heard of RGA. We're a global life and health reinsurance business listed on the New York Stock Exchange. We have offices across the Americas, EMEA, and Asia. Obviously, we're a reasonable size, but yeah, we're predominantly B2B business, and most of our clients are large global or regional insurance companies. In Asia, we operate in 13 markets out of 8 country offices, and we contribute about a third of our global revenue and profit. Although we're easily the fastest growing. I mean, Asia is just booming from an insurance sector perspective. So, we've basically double-digit growth over the last 5 years, and we see that sort of continuing into the future, even over COVID. A lot of you probably have heard of reinsurance. I definitely hadn't before I started at RGA. And so I guess in simple terms, it's insurance for insurance companies. It's basically a way for them to diversify the risk and exposure in case of a sort of large, catastrophe or event that they hadn't factored in. So I guess there are other capital reasons why they may use reinsurance, but that's the main reason. A bit about me, I've been with RGA for 4.5 years now. I started out in their innovation team, and that's sort of more my background, running digital businesses in sort of technology and innovation. So I was originally running the digital product development in Asia, and then I transitioned into the role of head of IT about 3 years ago. The sort of core responsibilities for me around sort of driving the strategy, making sure that our systems, are operational and meet the business needs, and also delivering new digital initiatives. The Asia business is very different to our operations in North America and Europe. We have a very fast-paced business environment. You guys are used to sort of having to deal with client expectations and customer expectations every day. We have different insurance type products that we reinsure, and they're far more complex. And something that has been touched on a few times, the regulatory environment that we operate within. We're a highly regulated, industry, and so for us to be able to meet those needs, we need to change the way we work to continue our growth. I guess given that, the main focus for my role is really around agile transformation. How do we create more agility within the business? How do we create an opportunity to react to new opportunities faster? And as part of that, we're looking at things like either new system builds or legacy system modernization, getting them ready to go to the cloud, leverage new technologies. So again, we can speed up, reduce costs, and really using that to form the foundation and build out a digital ecosystem. We're really sort of focused on building out, APIs to connect to clients, partners, and third parties to allow that flow of data to be much more fluid and easy. As I mentioned, prior to RGA, I was ran my own business for 15 years, so I'm not a corporate IT guy. Sometimes don't know how I ended up here and ended up in a suit as I am in that picture. But I spent plenty of time in Singapore, and that's where I met Sid, and so I know the lay of the land down there pretty well. So I guess just wanted to highlight some of the industry challenges that we face, and I guess every industry has its own challenges, and the ones that we've listed here aren't necessarily unique if you take away the actual actors, but I think everyone's struggling to keep up with consumer demand, regulatory changes, pace of technology change. And I think, like Sid mentioned, it's like no longer an option not to start to think about how to manage data more effectively. I think one of the challenges we have in the insurance and reinsurance industries have been pretty slow adopting technology. So we're still managing a lot of manual data management. We have markets and clients who still communicate with us via fax. So trying to work out how we work in those sort of environments is a real challenge. I mean, the fact that the industry was late to the technology game is not all bad. What we're doing now is we're learning from a lot of experiences that sectors like the financial services sector have had to avoid some of the mistakes or challenges they've had. So we're hoping to leapfrog some of our activities to accelerate those. As you can see here, I mean, the insurance industry, there's a lot of sort of different players in that value chain. And I guess due to the lack of digital adoption, there's a need to support. If we're going to grow at the moment, we have to add extra headcount, which obviously increases risk and expense, and we're constantly having to recruit. So, I guess the adoption of digital technologies and becoming more data-driven is absolutely core and essential. So, I mean, I guess it's interesting, there's a lot of opportunity to adopt technology, but because we've been a little bit slow, it also gives sort of some more savvy insurtechs and startups an opportunity to start to eat into that value chain. And we're seeing that already, especially in the distribution space, which is, I guess, where most people buy their insurance, especially in markets like China and Korea. So I guess to meet these challenges, we've got a number of sort of key focus areas. Again, these are probably pretty similar to a lot of organizations. Obviously cybersecurity and data protection is a big focus for us. How do we operate and manage that data in different jurisdictions, especially in Asia, which is sometimes a little tricky. Really looking at how we maximize the value of the data we have. And I think, again, I don't know what the exact count is, but it's in the petabytes that we're currently managing. With 40 years of data, structured and unstructured, that we have available. So how do we combine that with third-party data sources and different assets to sort of maximize the value for the business? We're really trying to enable next generation business operations, and I'll talk a bit about that. And Louise talked a bit about how they train and evaluate staff. Some of those ideas we're starting to incorporate, and I'll talk about those. As an organization and as an industry, we're seeing a lot more need and clients asking us around product innovation and creating digital experience. Even though we're a B2B business, we're creating systems that allow us to integrate wearable data into policy administration, for example, so that we can have dynamic premiums that are calculated based on how many steps or how many active minutes you do a month. So they're the sorts of things that we're working on there. And I guess underpinning all that is the ability to deploy and manage these solutions effectively using cloud, using microservices, and sort of composable architecture. So that's a big focus for us. So I guess given the limited time, and I don't want to run over, I want to make sure that we've got plenty of time for questions. I'm just going to touch on a couple of key initiatives in some of these areas that we're using to support our key strategic focus. So the first one's around a business empowerment capability, and first of all, talking a bit around tools and sort of technology management. I mean, COVID's been interesting in the sense that it's made us deploy collaboration tools and adopt those so that our teams can work more effectively from remote places. I mean, we're heavy Slack and Teams users. But at the same time, we're also engaging in large-scale initiatives to give business teams and data citizens, as the guys called them before, more power to create sort of tools and processes that they need to do their day-to-day job effectively. We've onboarded a suite of digital tools and training programs that allow business users to be empowered to solve the problems they face every day. And I guess what we're trying to do is shift the focus from IT being the enabler of these services to, rather than being the bottleneck. Like traditionally, we'd get a project and have to deliver that. So we're really trying to enable the business to deliver those. Because we're such a data-centric organization, the tools are all focused around enabling users to automate data, processing, aggregating data from multiple sources for reporting and operations, and creating real-time management and business intelligence dashboards. So some of the tools there we've already talked about. Alteryx is a very powerful ETL tool, very business friendly. Some of the new Microsoft Power Platform tools, Power Automate and Power Apps, Power BI, that come part of the Office 365 suite. Again, we're starting to deploy those and seeing some great results. Tableau, obviously, everyone is aware of, and then Pipefy, which is a new one, which is allowing sort of business users to stand up their own business workflows and processes that they can automate as well. I guess to support that, we've also created a center of excellence and this concept of fusion teams. So to accelerate the adoption of these tools that we talked about, and I guess try and demonstrate some value pretty quickly, we've created this structure where the center of excellence is really a central governance and sets global standards for the use of those tools. They set up appropriate working models. They're really there to guide users and support, I guess, opportunity assessment and understand the business needs. They also provide the support for all the infrastructure that sits behind it. If you're going to stand up a new data project, you don't want to have to run off and provision cloud infrastructure and worry about licensing. So they take care of all that for us, which is great. They also develop communication, change management, and education strategy and rollout, which is helpful. And then I guess they also provide a framework for the metrics and KPI reporting, which is key to sort of describing the value that's delivered. I guess where the rubber hits the road is where the fusion teams are. So these are small cross-functional teams, usually a combination of business and technology technologists who are based either in region or in local office. And they're really there to identify and assess opportunities for automation. They're going to do the whole shebang of design, development, implement, and they work in these small time boxes or projects, usually anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, depending on the complexity of the problem. And they have very defined fixed scope and goals. And usually once they've achieved those goals, then they will move on and look at another sort of iteration of that. So just another way that we're implementing sort of the data-driven culture. I think the biggest thing, and again, this has been touched on a little bit today, is creating a digital mindset and culture. I mean, this is probably the most important in my mind, and definitely most talked about, but often overlooked area that will be central for that transition and long-term success of becoming a data-driven organization. So we've launched a couple of initiatives like the Fusion Teams concept to help the adoption, but we've also created some digital foundation programs that we're piloting in different markets where we set up a local management team. They then work with the local business to assess the needs and the opportunities for digital training in their own market. And then, we've got a framework that they work within. From there, we coordinate on training needs and then build communities of practice to, I guess, help embed and drive support and adoption for these new technologies. So we don't want to just train you and sort of set and forget. We're really trying to create sort of sustainable long-term adoption and growth here. We also do regular showcases on the projects that have been done, so that everyone gets to sort of stand up and cheer, but really highlight I guess the successes and share lessons learned, which is really important thing to do, I think. Which I think is a nice segue, because I'm not sure how much time I have. I'm thinking just a couple of very quick lessons learned that we've had on our journey. The first one is around adopting Agile across the organization. It really is a central part to the success in that shift of delivering business value. I can't tell you, it's been a struggle, but where we've had success, teams that are self-organizing, and really once you make that transition, you will never look back or work any other way again. I think taking the time to understand the problem that you're trying to solve. I think people love to jump to the solution or even start with the solution and then look for a problem. Again, we've seen this time and time again. What we try and do, we've got a couple of strategic sort of workshops that we run, is really take the time to deeply understand the problem you're trying to solve, what value it's going to bring to the organization, and how to measure the success. And I think as part of that, we need to give people the permission to fail. Otherwise, you'll never get anywhere. I think getting people trying things sooner and getting some prototypes that you can assess and then sort of iterate from there is key. The other big one, and this is not very digital or data in nature, but change management is probably one of the single biggest failure points I've seen in my time at RGA, of where projects have failed. I mean, change management is not a monthly newsletter on the sort of status of the project. I mean, the best products, ideas, they can all fail if you don't understand what the users need to be able to change and adapt to this new world. We now engage early and often take the time to understand all the different users' needs and sort of bring them along on that journey. It's absolutely essential. So I think that's it. I think my time is up. Thank you.